Ladies and gentlemen, Fourth and Trollers, welcome back to Fourth and Troll Fantasy, the most entertaining fantasy football podcast in the universe, on the planet. Not that we've copyrighted either of those, but it's true. My name is Noah Selby.
And I'm Wes Selby.
And we made it. It's the final week of the regular season, Wes. It's December 3rd. We are here. We're past Thanksgiving. Christmas is up next, which, give me 1 second here. Let me just know that we're
what's going on
official.
Yeah, you busting out something?
Now that we're officially.
That's perfect. Oh!
Now that we're officially.
Let's go!
in the season. It's time.
What do I have?
And
here's what I got. Hell yeah! What the? I turned around and looked for a hat of myself, and I just saw. Here we go.
It's time, dude.
It's time.
And that's it, because we don't want to get copyright strike. We don't want to get copyright strike. And that's it.
Perfect.
That's it.
Yeah.
And if Bublé happens to see this video, please don't do this. We're just small business owners. But
how great would that be? Imagine Michael Bublé.
Michael Bublé is one of our subscribers.
Did you just play my song?
Yeah. And
hey,
he's like,
Noah, Wes, big fan, but don't do that. I'm
yeah, don't do that, guys. That's super whack.
Yes, Mr. Bublé.
By the way, James Cook signed jersey, joining the Patreon.
Yeah, Michael, get in the Patreon.
Yeah, Michael,
get a couple weeks left.
Yeah, come on, man. Give away a signed James Cook jersey on our Patreon. Only a couple weeks left to sign up for that. You can also join our Discord community by doing that. So make sure you do that. Everything is linked down below. Follow us on all our socials, which are linked down below. You can get some merch for the holiday season. fourthandtrollstore.com. And like, subscribe, ring the bell. And then, some news to talk about, Wes.
Yeah, only a few things that don't affect the entirety of every franchise ever. Okay, totally first thing, the most minor of all of them are just the bye weeks for this last week of the regular season of fantasy football. Here are the
super minor
teams.
By the way.
Yeah. Okay, first of all, the Ravens. No Lamar Jackson, no Derrick Henry, no Zay Flowers. Good luck. No Mark Andrews. He's relevant again. Broncos. Everything we just saw last night. No Bo Nix, no Cortland Sutton. Forget it. Texans, no Joe Mixon. That's probably the real one.
No Joe Mixon.
And then the Colts. We're going to talk about Anthony Richardson in a moment, but all of them, bye week. Patriots, Commanders, no Jaden Daniels, no Brian Robinson Jr., none of them for the week. Okay, now we all saw it Sunday night. Christian McCaffrey done for the season with a sprained PCL. I've never seen a Madden curse this strong. We want to take a quick moment, because we haven't had any opportunity to talk about Christian McCaffrey, obviously, all year. So, Noah, let's take a moment. You are one of the people that drafted Christian McCaffrey. I took Bijan first overall in one of our leagues. I passed over him in a couple of leagues because I was scared. You took Christian McCaffrey. How are you feeling about him for next season? Are you drafting him, or is he done?
Well, okay. So the price is not going to be what it has been. I'll be shocked if he goes in the first round. I'm thinking initially right now, just gut feeling, he's probably going to be drafted. He might still be drafted in the top 12 running backs, not in the top 12 picks. I mean, just top 12 running backs.
I don't know, but he could.
It's difficult. It's disappointing, to say the least. It's my internal battle the entire time in draft season was, what am I going to be more mad about? That I passed on him and he was exactly who we thought he was, and he's just incredible and is the godfather of fantasy and just breaks fantasy every week, or that I draft him and it's a difficult time and I have to work a little harder to still figure out how to make playoffs and make the postseason. And it was always that I would be more upset with myself if I drafted him and he was still great. And so it's not been the journey we've wanted. It's disappointing. It's extra disappointing. I felt fine, obviously, because as we had said, hold on to your backups, especially guys like Jordan Mason. I felt fine. Like, it was disappointing, but it was fine. Because it was like, okay, we've got Jordan Mason. And then Shanahan just hit us with a 1-2 kick to the nuts and was like, by the way, Jordan Mason, high ankle sprain. He's going to go on IR. Sorry, not to steal your news, but
no, you're right.
It's difficult. And spoiler, we're going to talk about Isaac Geurendo and Waiver Wire, but it's disappointing. I got to figure out where the price is going to be at. They just paid him a lot of money, so he's still going to be the running back for Kyle Shanahan offense. And depending on the price, I guess you kind of got to weigh out your options. Like, but if there's reality where Christian McCaffrey could be like your RB2 next year, and he just bounces back fine and is okay. But it's
that'd be nuts.
It's going to be. I am looking forward to and not looking forward to all at the same time talking about him in the offseason and just where on earth he slots into. So Madden curse sucks, dude.
It sucks.
AB,
you got to pay
Peyton
attention.
Hillis, Sean Alexander, Vince Young.
Yeah.
Just I thought it was over, and it's clearly not.
It's more alive than it's ever been. All right, stick around in the offseason because we have content there on what our opinion of Christian McCaffrey will be by the time we talk about him in the offseason. Okay, let's fly through the rest of these. We pretty much know these, but just to recap, Matt Eberflus fired day after the Bears, Thanksgiving Day, clock management debacle, hilarious, also mind-boggling, but that's done. Offensive coordinator, I believe, steps up as the interim, and then wide receiver coach steps up as the OC. Anyway, whatever happens there in Chicago.
Cliff Kingsbury, you are a head coach again. Congratulations.
That's probably the way it's going to be. Trevor Lawrence suffered a really brutal concussion and a cheap shot from one of the Texans linebackers, who's going to be suspended. Nothing confirmed as of right now, but that's not the point. The point is that Trevor Lawrence could possibly not only be an IR, but miss the rest of the season as he is deep in the concussion protocol right now. So it may be Mac Jones for the rest of the year. Dallas Goedert suffered a knee sprain considered week to week, likely meaning he's going to miss this last week of the regular season for fantasy football. J.K. Dobbins was placed on IR with an MCL sprain. We were talking about that as he, you call that actually a very similar, eerie, parallel injury to Joe Mixon back in week 2 or 3, whatever it was. And now he's on IR. I'm going to miss probably the rest of the season with that, regular fantasy at least. Austin Eckler also on IR due to his concussion troubles from the season. Taysom Hill carted off with a knee injury right after we bought in.
Dude.
He's gone. Gone too soon. We'll see you next year,
Taysom. I had a nickel
Taysom.
for every time I dropped so much fab on a tight end who had a great breakout week and then decided to do nothing for the rest of the season.
You have all your fab back.
I have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but weird that it happened twice. Yeah.
There you go. Well done. Last one, just for future down the line stuff. James Conner signed a 2-year deal with the Cardinals. That's it for the news. Now, we have a couple of things that we need to celebrate and encourage people on as we get into the postseason for fantasy playoffs. Let's have a little bit of victory lap Tuesday here on the show.
Yeah. Should we just shit on cars again before we go into it just for fun? Or should we?
No, we didn't shit on it. Well, no, we did. The first one, and the video game was great.
Film, yeah. Anyway, victory lap. Listen, a lot of y'all. So our TikTok of our bold predictions for the Thanksgiving Day games found the Lions fans on TikTok before the game started, and boy, oh boy, those were some unkind words hurled in our direction. And boy, oh boy, were y'all real quiet after the game because it nearly happened. My bold prediction was Caleb Williams over 350 and 3 touchdowns, hits the 3 touchdowns, has a great fantasy day. We'll definitely talk about him a little bit here in Fluke for real, but that was good to see. And then we're also going to talk about this guy, but Jerry Jeudy, I pointed out just after 1 week with Jameis that I said, hey, I think this is worth it. I think the targets have been really, really special here. And obviously he has a career game on Monday Night Football. And that's not going to be, spoiler, that's not going to be the norm. I'm not going to call that. Don't expect your 50 bombs from Jerry Jeudy for the rest of the season. But if you have Jerry Jeudy on your team and you listen back in week 9, you're thrilled with the last month and you're thrilled with how he's been playing. And especially, and hopefully he was in your lineup and he won you your week. And week 13. So there you go. So there's a couple things, couple fun things.
I had a couple of things as well. Our Thanksgiving bold predictions. I also said all Dolphins skill players would be fantasy relevant during the Thanksgiving week of week 13. And aside from Jalen Waddle, they all were. In fact, Chua and Jonnu Smith and Tyreek Hill and Devon Achane all scored over 20 points. Stick around for the waiver wire segment because I think we're going to talk about some Dolphins players there. One Dolphin player. But the Dolphins offense is starting to look more alive, and I think we can begin to trust them as well. Tyreek Hill, we're talking about him coming up soon as well. Did you guys hear that there's an incredible wide receiver in Tennessee named Nick Westbrook-Ikhine? All he does is score touchdowns. That is all he does. That is all he does. Watch out, Randy Moss, because the touchdown record is getting broken this year. It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. And I'll tag on to that. I said Calvin Ridley was a fluke when all that was happening there. Totally unrelated. I did. I said we had a long
I know you
segment.
Did, but you think you're victory lapping Ridley being the 25 plus point games? He hasn't been bad.
No, I called it out with DeAndre Swift as well. I'm taking the early victory lap. I'm just saying.
Okay.
This is what I'm doing.
Well, they go hand in hand. They go hand in hand, really, because we talked about when Hopkins got traded that it was like I said Calvin Ridley's rest of season schedule is the best wide receiver schedule for the rest of the season. So let's buy in here. This is going to be for real. And then it was like, this other guy, like, he can't keep getting away with it. Like, it's just, he's only scoring touchdown. Like, he had 8 targets this past week, which I was like, okay, well, that's why he's going to stay and he's going to come up again in Fluke for real. But it was like, I guess I think I texted you, Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, more like Nick Westbrook. Can Calvin Ridley score a touchdown, please? Like,
no, that's not how that offense works.
So frustrating, dude.
It's all NWI.
But we hope you guys listen because Nick Westbrook-Ikhine has been awesome. Let's jump into the waiver wire here, Wes. There's a couple guys to talk about. The first one is the obvious one, and I don't want to hear jack shit in our YouTube comments of being like, really? Wow, he's the top pickup? Okay. Listen, there are people who need to know, all right? We got to talk about this. Like, what would you say if we didn't talk about him? Huh? Okay, sorry, we're going to talk about him. Isaac Geurendo, okay? Sorry, there was that one guy in our comments. It was like, Anthony Richardson, a dud? Wow, okay, great insight, bro. And it was like,
right, I remember that
if you weren't paying attention and you saw his previous week performance,
right?
Yeah, you'd probably think maybe I should start him. And then you called him a dud and he had a down game. And then we didn't call him a dud and he had a good game. So
look
guess
what? Whoa.
SMA, dude. SMA.
There's so much heat in this one.
There's just so much. It's the Christmas spirit, I guess.
Yeah, they're making you sweat.
Yeah, I guess
it's a holly jolly season, my guy.
Anyway, Isaac Geurendo. He's going to be the top running back in San Francisco. We saw him have a little bit of work when Jordan Mason went down in a game against Seattle this past year. He's seen work. He's been good. He's very quick. And it's a starting running back out on your waiver wire, and you should grab him. And nonetheless, it's a Shanahan running back. So, I don't know if there's more to say beyond that. He's going to be the guy that's going to step up for the rest of the fantasy season. So, if you have fab left, drop it all. I would, and he's the top ad. It's not often that you're going into the fantasy playoffs with a guy available to make an impact on your team right away. So there you go. And then the other guy here, Adam Thielen, mentioned it. He was an honorable mention last week. He deserves a solo spot here right now. He's going to be the top target for Bryce Young, as we saw at the beginning for the first half of last season. And he's getting a bigger shot now with Deontay Johnson gone. Bryce is slinging it, dude. Like, this is awesome to see. Dave Canales, the man that you are, turning quarterbacks around. I don't think they're going to draft a quarterback. I think they're going to give him another year. I think they're going to take a top pick and surround and build that team up, build the defense or whatever it may be. But I think it's so exciting to see Bryce Young do well.
We're all happy.
Thielen was great. Should have had 2 touchdowns. Had a one-handed catch that made me almost wet my pants. And it was awesome. So, it's Isaac Geurendo and Adam Thielen are the 2 guys here that I believe there are guys on your waiver wire right now who can come onto your team and be an impact going into the fantasy playoffs, and you don't actually have to worry about it. So those are my two waiver wire guys. Wes, you teased it a little bit. You got another guy right here for us to talk about too.
I do. For those that are streaming quarterbacks or you're in desperate need with a bye week with, let's say, Lamar Jackson, Bo Nix, you've been rolling him out, CJ Stroud, even Jaden Daniels, like myself, it's time to just consider Tua Tagovailoa as fantasy relevant. He's my waiver wire ad for the week, and he's been scoring a lot of touchdowns. He hasn't been throwing a massive amount of yards like we saw last year. Don't forget, he was the passing leader last season, but he had over 300 yards. He almost had 350 yards against the Packers. He's been scoring, and I feel like it's an easy combination with Devon Achane and Jonnu Smith to get in the end zone at least twice every game here on out. So you can start him for this week if you need a must-win quarterback streamer to help you make playoffs before one of your top guys is back from the bye week. But the Dolphins offense is starting to look more like themselves, more like who they were last year. So Tua is my waiver wire ad for week 14.
Yeah, I love it. He's got the week 14 matchup going up against the Jets, who have been very easy to throw against lately, and Sauce Gardner dealing with a little bit of a hamstring injury as well, so they're going to be a little bit depleted. So yeah, I love it, and the Lord knows they can't run the ball. Devon Achane, shout out to all your receiving production. 7 carries for 14 rushing yards in that game,
and over 20 fantasy points
on Thanksgiving, and over 20 fantasy points. So there you go. Yeah, let's jump into Fluke for real. A little bit of a heavier list to talk about this week, Wes. Starting out with a couple of Monday night studs. Just grouping together here is Jameis Winston with nearly 41 fantasy points, and Jerry Jeudy with 40.5 fantasy points, 9 catches, 235 yards, and a touchdown in a revenge game going up against the head coach that traded him away. And Jameis Winston almost 500 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns, and then Jameis with 3 interceptions. Gotta love it. I've never seen so many deep shots taken by either quarterback in a game like consistently like that. That was awesome. So, what do we think here with Jabu and Jerry Jeudy?
Well, with Jameis Winston, we've been talking about this for several weeks now. Something that you pointed out is how many times Jameis throws the gosh darn damn football. Almost 60 times.
The pass attempts yet.
Again, I want to pull up here real quick how many pass attempts he has had over the last several games, because this is more of why I think this is for real, and I think you can buy into Jameis as a quarterback for your team. The 500 yards you're probably not going to see again, but over the last 5 games, he had 27 attempts against Pittsburgh because it was a very snowy game. But since every game he has started, 41 attempts, 46, and then 58 attempts. His arm's gonna fall off by the end. It's unbelievable. I love it. I think he can be a starting quarterback if you really want to have him on your bench or you want to play a matchup dependent game. But Jerry Jeudy, it's so hard to not say this is for real when you put up a massive game like this. The last time we saw this was Jackson Smith and Jigba, where he put up 37 points, I believe, in week 9. That guy has now been a top 10 wide receiver, more or less, at this point in the total season points. He's for sure JSN, almost top 10. So it's hard for me, even though I see the ridiculous stat line of 9 catches for 235 yards, to say it's not for real. With 13 targets is great. I know Cedric Tillman was out, and Tillman may or may not be as important. David Njoku had a good game. Elijah Moore had a couple of good plays as well. I just feel like there's a chance that Jerry Jeudy could absolutely be a league-winning playoff hero right now, here on out. I know the Browns don't have much to play for, but that's how I feel with Jerry Jeudy at this moment.
Yeah, I agree. I think the 40.5 fantasy points. I don't know if we're preparing for that for the rest of the season. For the rest of his career, perhaps. Like but the target count since week 8, 11, 11, 6, 13. That correlates with 12.9 points, 14.3 points, 26.2, 14.5, and then obviously 40.5. None of those games are disappointed with a waiver wire addition. So
Absolutely not.
Yeah, this is for real. He's a flex play, pretty much locked into your lineup going forward. The passing volume, I don't think you can argue with it. Even with the schedule moving forward, I think it's Pittsburgh, Kansas City, Cincinnati, and then Miami, and they should be passing the football against those teams plenty. And so he should be awesome, and Jameis loves him. So I agree.
Yep.
It's great. Caleb Williams, 32.1 fantasy points, 20 for 39, 256, and 3 touchdowns. Using his legs a bit too. I don't know his rushing stats here, but good to see him rushing a bit as well. How do you feel about Caleb?
I feel like he had 4 rushes for 39 yards. That's not how I feel like. That's just his rushing stats. I feel like he's a little too unreliable, especially with the coaching changes and the very difficult rest of the season schedule. 49ers, Vikings, Lions again, and then finishing with the Seattle Seahawks. I don't know if Caleb Williams is someone you can start for the playoffs with how inconsistent and disappointing the Bears offense has been for several weeks. I feel like you have better options. I can convince you more likely to start DJ Moore and Keenan Allen going forward than I am to Caleb Williams. So because of where we are right now with one more week in regular season and then fantasy playoffs to help you win the championship, I do not see Caleb Williams as the quarterback to help you win a championship.
Sure. Yeah, I agree. Back-to-back top 5 quarterback weeks, but before that, QB 21, QB 26, QB 28, QB 28. It just wasn't working. It's crazy to look at his last 8 games. Half of them, he's been a top 6 quarterback. That was a really bad stretch there after the bye week. But the offense is shifting. Yeah, I agree, Wes. I think this is more of a sign for DJ Moore and Keenan. I would quicker start DJ Moore than Keenan, but I agree. Too. I think Keenan is still flex worthy, but yeah, Caleb, I think it's good to see him playing well. Hopefully they can get him a good system, good coach, good offensive mind in the new year. But yeah, I think this is probably more of a fluke than anything. You probably don't want to move forward with him here. Rico Dowdle, 21.3 fantasy points, West 22 carries.
Yeah,
3 targets. I love the opportunities here for Dowdle. You almost wonder, should they have been doing this all season long?
Oh, it's as if perhaps
if it's a good idea. But 21.3 fantasy points. What do you think about Rico?
Yeah, I think you have to weigh your options as who a better flex option is, unless you don't have any other running back. But I think Rico Dowdle, this is for real, and I think he's a lock in your lineup. The whole Cowboys offense, forget CeeDee Lamb, like 5 points. Thanksgiving Day, forget it. I mean, we had this concern. We had to talk about it a couple weeks ago. Would you rather have CeeDee Lamb or Tyreek Hill for the rest of the season? Not to tease our next player. But we really do see that Rico Dowdle is – it's more so that Mike McCarthy is trying to save his job, and Cooper Rush is not the answer for the offense. And so Rico Dowdle is going to get 20 carries a game, and then I'm sure at some point he's going to score. And I think that's a lock, and I think that's for real.
Yeah, I think it's for real as well. I agree. Plays Carolina first week of fantasy playoffs. That's awesome. It's a great
Very
matchup.
nice.
Tyreek Hill, you just mentioned it, 20.3 fantasy points. Get that shit out of my face. I'm so annoyed after we just went out and talked about him, saying you don't have to start him just because he's Tyreek Hill. He's like a tip drill 10-yard touchdown away from having like a 12-point game again. But it happens that way. I'm so done with it. I even after this week, because you know what's going to happen. You're going to start him next week, and then he's going to have 10 points again. So that's how it's going to go. So
Make
I'm
playoffs
in a league where I have Jerry Jeudy and Calvin Ridley as options. I'm starting either of those guys over him. Still, I don't care. I'm so done with it. As I am with this next guy. Get Sam Laporta's bitch ass out of the. Oh my gosh, dude!
This is the dumbest stat line I've ever seen.
3 catches, 6 yards. Oh, why is he in the good section? Because he had 2 touchdowns. He had 15.6 fantasy points on 6 yards. F that S, dude. I'm so annoyed.
Yeah.
And don't. No, it's a fluke. Don't start him. Ugh.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah, I'm
more,
with you.
or can I stop thinking
You
about him?
can stop talking about him. You're good.
Thank you. Okay, great. Devontae Adams, another guy that I'm just like so. Why is this so? Why am I so frustrated with all these guys we're talking about right now?
I don't know. This is the
Devontae
angriest I've
Adams,
seen anyone during Christmas.
17.6 fantasy points, 5 catches on 12 targets for 66 yards and a touchdown. Ooh, we did it, Devontae. We got in the end zone. Okay, dude, no, I'm done. I'm not. I have him in a league because you know what? It's gonna be the same thing as Tyreek. You're gonna start him. And then he's not going to do shit. He's not going to do anything. We talked about him in the game against Houston, and it was like, whoa, 11 for 7 for 90, or 7 catches for 91 and a touchdown. All right, Aaron Rodgers has his guy back, and then it was like, yeah, here's 9 points, here's 13 points, and then you didn't start him, and then he had 17.6. Are you
Texans,
in agreement with me, or is this just...
I am. This is, I mean, for those that did not get to see the Benny Hill version of football between the Jets and the Seahawks, that was the most ridiculous football game I've ever seen. I don't understand also how the Jets lost that game. That is absurd.
Dude,
so I think many things were crazy that that's a fluke. I'm in agreement. What a hilarious game.
I'm so
good for the Seahawks to get out of there alive.
Here's the only way I think we end up stopping Nick Westbrook-Ikhine is by telling you it's for real right now, and then next week he's gonna have 3 points. Like I can't not say it. It's for real. Like it's for real. Like it's he just scores touchdowns. Like that's how it goes. He's like Sam Laporta of the wide receivers this year, and it's just he of Sam Laporta of last year, but for this year, I mean it's just and the schedule's so great for wide receivers, so you just got to keep rolling them out. Yeah,
it's pretty good. And the amazing thing, it's not like he's a red zone guy. I mean, he's getting deep touchdowns too. It's just every which way.
A couple weeks ago,
he's just scoring. I started him in a dynasty league. I've got him in. I was stoked, and that's what you were texting me about. You're like, stop it. And I was like, no, keep going. I'm trying to make playoffs.
Yeah, it's just.
And this is also
because he's going to score 3 points this week now that we've done this. But it's
let's just call it as it is. For real. Until he stops scoring touchdowns, then I mean, are you going to start Nick Westbrook-Ikhine to make playoffs this week? That's the only thing I consider. It's
I think you have to weigh your options too, because as I'm saying that we're calling this for real, but it's like T. Higgins or Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. I'm probably going to still go T. Higgins. Yeah. Or
dude, his schedule's
like Jerry Jeudy. I know the wide receiver schedule's so good. So it's like this is my thing with Calvin Ridley is that it was like it's such a good schedule rest of season that it's just so great. So I don't know.
You know who I might start in first week of playoffs if I make playoffs. And I've got Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, and this is kind of
the Jacksonville twice in the fantasy playoffs.
He's got Jacksonville this week, and he's got Jacksonville last week of fantasy. But first week of playoffs, he's got the Bengals, man. Are you kidding me? Starting Nick Westbrook-Ikhine to win the first round of playoffs.
It just depends on your if you have him and you're contemplating it. Comment who you're between, because it is like a this or that kind of situation, but it's like, hey, if he's gonna score a touchdown and he's gonna go like 2 for 30 with a touchdown, like this might be like if you need 14 points, like you might this might be okay. Like this might be he's like
hilarious.
He's like the Najee Harris of wide receivers. Like he's just reliable. That's just what it's gonna land at. So Parker Washington is our next guy here. Wes, you called him out a couple weeks ago on the waiver wire when Christian Kirk went down. What do we think here with Parker Washington with 24.3 fantasy points on 12 targets?
There's a lot of reason to think that this is still a fluke. This is such a fantastic stat line, but he's been so he's been so quiet since he had a pretty solid game after Kirk was done for the year. So I actually am going to say this is a fluke because Brian Thomas Jr. has still been doing very well. Evan Ingram is still dependable. There's also absolutely nothing going on in the rushing game anymore for anybody in Jacksonville. So forget it. Victory lap Tuesday on that one. We both were like, Travis Etienne's not even going to sniff top 15 this season, and that's for sure. But yeah, I as much as I like Washington, read about him in the offseason and training camp, and he's making some pretty great catches and showing out. There's still the Mac Jones element, and there's still just a little too. I don't trust it. I'm sorry, but I think that's a fluke.
I agree. Pat Freiermuth, the next guy here, 18.8 fantasy points. The Muth got a little bit loose with 6 catches for 68 and a touchdown in their game against the Bengals. That was a fun one, by the way. That was
another good one.
So bad for Joe Burrow. He's wasting the best year of his career.
Yeah.
On this terrible Bengals defense, and it is so disappointing.
Yeah, I'll take it on the chin too, because I was like, I need Burrow and Jamar Chase to prove it to me, because they've both just kind of had weaker seasons since their Super Bowl run. Jamar Chase injury. And then Joe Burrow's hand injury is a lot, but they're doing it, and they're both amazing, and they're both they both could finish number 1 as quarterback and wide receiver, and this Bengals defense is absolute trash. And so for that reason, I actually say that Freiermuth is a fluke, because I think you have to throw it a billion times, because you can do whatever you want to the Bengals defense. It's impressive, which is also why we talked about Nick Westbrook-Akine being a potential week 1 playoff round starter. So for that reason, I say Freiermuth is a fluke.
I agree. Anthony Richardson here, 25.16 fantasy points on 109 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and he ran a touchdown as well. I don't feel good. Like, if I need a win to get into the playoffs, I just don't feel good about it. He's doing 12 for 24, completed 50% completion. He's just not proved enough to me as a thrower, I don't think. But I could be wrong.
However, there's only one thing I will say that I do think is for real. I don't think you start him when they're back. I don't think you start him week 15. But he does play the Titans and the Giants for the last 2 weeks of the fantasy season, and that is intriguing to me, especially with their record.
If you're streaming, you could do worse, probably. Yeah.
And with the Colts record, and they're in the hunt, and they're fighting, and the division is still sort of up for grabs too, for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Those are my favorite teams to have fantasy players on, the ones that are fighting for playoff spots. So there's a chance this is for real. So I'm going to put a pin in this and say week 16, he could be a starter, but obviously not on the bye week. But then week 15 against the Broncos defense, we just saw what Jameis Winston did. Even though he threw 500 yards, I'm still not going to buy that Richardson is a starter first round playoffs against the Broncos defense.
No, he's no Jameis. He's no Jameis
Winston, dude.
Said. Last guy here, Bucky Irving.
I hope he's healthy.
Ready?
His hip is like
I hope he's. Did you see the video of him walking into the locker room?
Yeah, man,
dude, he was like it was like the guy in SpongeBob was just all like bandaged up and just broken.
My bones are made of glass.
I hope he's okay. He reports today that he said he's feeling better than yesterday. But here's your 2024 league winner. He has taken the job, and I'll eat crow on it, dude, because I was like, this class is so weak, and Bucky Irving was one of the later drafted running backs anyways. I just don't see him. I don't see Rachaad White losing the job, and Rashad's value in the PPR game still makes him flex worthy. And you hope for the touchdown to be able to make it a really solid week for him. But I mean, 25 carries for 152 yards and a touchdown, 3 for 3 for 33 yards in the air. And you may want to go, it was Carolina, but he's been doing it for 2.5 months now. For the last 10 weeks, he's been awesome. And it's just, he's your league winner. He's the 2024 league winner. So there you go. Let's talk about some beer, guys.
Some beer, guys.
Let's talk about some beer, guys. I don't know when I adopted that, but it's my favorite part of the Tuesday episodes now. It's so fun. He's a big guy. Chiefs running backs. Hey.
Oh, the weight.
How's that middle finger?
Worth it.
Isaiah Pacheco owners. I mean, just they completely split like opportunity. Really, Kareem Hunt ended up with one more touch than Pacheco did, but I mean, I think that was Kareem Hunt's last chance to be in my lineup. I think Pacheco passed the eye test and looked way better. So, I mean, if you're going to start one, it's going to be Pacheco going forward. But, I mean, I'm a little worried if I have to. I'm hoping if I have to.
Yeah. And at this point, people that have made or are making playoffs with Pacheco on the roster have done it without him. So they're probably not all that concerned. Right. Kareem Hunt owners that have, gotten by because Kareem Hunt has been so great are concerned. I dropped Kareem Hunt to go pick up someone else. So I think it was I
have as well.
I forget what it was. I think it was like there was the Breece Hall report about his knee injury.
Yeah, so you go to Braylon or something.
Yeah, and I was like, I need to make a decision. I think it might have been Kareem Hunt, but either way, Kareem Hunt is a drop candidate for sure. So that's absolutely for real. Pacheco, I don't know if you're going to start him. You got to see how he does next week. I'm not going to start him next week. I have Pacheco in one league. I'm not going to start him next week. I also have Bijan Robinson and Aaron Jones and Tony Pollard. So there's no reason for me to start Pacheco over them.
Yeah.
But I'm a little concerned for Pacheco.
That's fair. That's definitely fair. Kenneth Walker III. Hey, this is so whack, dude. We texted about this on Sunday. It was like, I texted you and I was like, did I miss some like Kenneth Walker III injury? Like, why is Charbonnet getting all this work inside the 5? Like, what's happening? Like, what's going on? Like, this is not the guy. I mean, like, I'm a Kenneth Walker III manager in a league where I'm going to have to win next week. And dude, okay, we're in this league together. Yeah. The standings in this league with that your dad is the commissioner of are
oh my gosh
bananas, bro. They're half the league last week was 6-6.
Here, I can pull it up. This is hilarious.
It's absurd. Like
10 teams. You ready for this? First place 8-4, second 7-5, and then 6-6, 6-6, 6-6, 6-6, 6-6, 6-6, 5-7. You think I'm kidding? Look at this.
It's literally, it's legitimately.
Come on,
it is like that many teams are.
Look at these standings. That is so funny.
5 teams in the league. Is that 5 or is that 6?
That's
is that 5?
6.
That's half the league.
There are 6
more
teams
than half
that
the
are
league.
6-6 from last week.
And so like the whole situation is just crazy. I had Jerry Jeudy on my bench in that league, and it was like, no. Came closer than I wanted. Bo Nix had a little bit of a turd fest, so that sucked. But
yeah, you should have started Jerry Jeudy over Cooper Kupp, you big dingus.
Yeah, duh.
Yeah,
like it was, and what that was when stupid? I made my bold claim, and I I benched Tyreek Hill for Calvin Ridley.
Hill.
And so I was like, listen, you don't have to do it. And then it was like, I wouldn't have won if I'd done.
No, if you started with Tyreek, you would have.
No, I wouldn't have won.
You would have had.
But if I would have done Jeudy over Ridley, I would have won. But it's like Jeudy, and you're assuming what the hell happened with the Broncos? Why did Patrick Surtain II has covered every top wide receiver on the opposing team the whole season? So I'm like, I mean, and I had said, like, I'm thinking about Jerry Jeudy. Like, I have Jerry Jeudy. I might go Jerry Jeudy over Tyreek Hill in that league. But I was like, you know what? You play the matchup here. I prefer someone not being covered by Patrick Surtain II all game.
I think because they're buddies. He's like, dude, you need to have a good game. Well, I'll win, but you can have the best game of your life.
Yeah, revenge game. But you, there you go. But anyway, so Kenneth Walker III, I have him in this league. I also have like Tyrone Tracy in this league. I'm going to need to win. I can't bench K-Dub for Tyrone Tracy next week, can I?
Well, they're playing the
Probably
Saints
not.
next week. They're playing Saints.
Who?
Saints, the Giants. If I'm not mistaken.
Saints are giving up so many points
They're giving up a lot
to the running back.
I'm thinking about it in a must-win as well for me, but
are they on a bye week? No. Kenneth Walker already is bye week.
No, that's already passed. Yeah.
I
don't know.
Yeah, it's
let
tough.
us know in the comments.
Yeah, let us know what you're thinking about for your asking for a friend. Yeah. Anyway. And the last guy here, Kate Otten. Well, it was fun while it lasted.
Yeah, it was really good while it lasted.
It was really great while Mike Evans was out. And then Mike Evans came back, and then we were all like, is Jalen McMillan going to play the slot role? Is it going to be Trey Palmer? And they're like, it's going to be Mike Evans. We're going to put Mike Evans in that Chris Godwin role, and it's just going to be great. And so, Kate Otten, unfortunately, there's probably better options out there for you. So
and Mike Evans looked fantastic as well. So sorry. And I also think this is for real because of Bucky Irving, because of this ground game and this rushing attack. I know the Panthers have like the worst rush defense in the NFL, but this is for real.
Bucky's been great. Yeah, there you go. That's it. Let's talk about a little bit of Thursday night, and then we will close things out, Wes. We got Packers at Lions, divisional game. Let's get another good one here, huh? Let's make this a good game. Must starts, risky starts, and don't starts, guys that you got to have in your lineup, guys that we're contemplating. We're saying, hey, maybe you need to prepare for something else. And then don't starts, don't even think about it. Starting out with our must starts. And it was kind of hard here because it was like, oh, well, I was about to change it live, but I'll still roll with this, and maybe he'll be an honorary mention. But it's gonna sound dumb. My must start is Jahmyr Gibbs, and I just don't want you to worry about like the down week on Thanksgiving. It was disappointing. You only got 10 points out of him. He was so good, and then he fumbled, and I don't know if he kind of got put in the doghouse for the fumble. It was also the revenge game for David Montgomery, and I think Dan Campbell might have just fed into that a little bit and just let David Montgomery just kind of keep going. I do want to talk about real quick. If you've been online lately, you may have been hearing about Jahmyr Gibbs posting a photo on social media that had like code words or something like in the background of it, something on the whiteboard behind him. And Dan Campbell didn't know about it until a reporter pointed it out to him. And so if you have concern here, don't. I think Dan Campbell, honestly, I think that might be the opposite effect. I think Dan Campbell might be like, you almost want to leak our plays? All right, well, I'm gonna work you then this game, or like whatever. I almost think it's gonna be a negative effect. So anyway, I don't want anyone to be worried. There's so many bye weeks. You got to start Jahmyr Gibbs. So it might be a layup, but I'm just gonna say Jahmyr Gibbs is a must start.
I get it as well because of also the tandem, and Jahmyr Gibbs hasn't always had amazing games, and with the rumors from social media and Dan Campbell be like, Jahmyr, come here. Do not leak our plays online, okay? I'll bite your kneecaps off.
What the hell was that?
What the hell are you doing, all right? Don't ever do that again.
All right, so here's my must start.
Here's my must start. Packers at Lions, division game. Can go either way. Honestly, Packers could win. You never know. But my must start, I think, is Jayden Reed. He's been too damn good.
Okay.
And I think you have to line him up. He had another solid game against Miami. He hasn't been all that consistent, but if you've got Jayden Reed and you have a wide receiver that is on a Packers team that not only is fighting for the playoff spot, but they are still in this race for the NFC North, I think you can roll him out. I think you should roll him out. Prime time under the lights in Detroit. Let Jayden Reed rush and receive a touchdown. I think it'll be a great game for him.
Yeah, I'm a little worried, and so Jayden Reed's my risky start. It's just the inconsistency. It was so hot to start out the season. And then Jordan Love goes down. And then even with Malik Willis, he still had another great week in week 4, 27 fantasy. Oh, no. Sorry, Jordan Love had to come back. Yeah, that was a miraculous turnaround of his return. Yeah, but so it was Jordan Love's in, and he's wide receiver 1. He's out, he's back in, and he's wide receiver 2. And it was like, oh my goodness, Jayden Reed is the steal of the draft. And then it was like, okay, he's the wide receiver 25 and the wide receiver 25. And then he was like outside, like the top 60 for a couple weeks. And then it was like, okay, he's back a little bit. He's wide receiver 17 with 16.3 fantasy points. And then it was like, oh, wait, he's outside the top 40 again. What's going on? And then he scores again, and he's got 19.7 points. And so he's just, the inconsistency is a little scary for me, but the matchup is against Detroit, who previously this season, he was the wide receiver 17 against. He had 6 targets in that game for 5 catches for 113 yards. It's you can't really run the ball against Detroit, so you do have to pass, and I believe that he'll be a fine option. He should be. I'm just a little worried about the inconsistency, so he's my risky start.
Well, in a similar way, I don't know if this isn't contradictory because we see it all the time, but my risky start is Jordan Love. I do not like this matchup for Jordan Love. And Jordan Love has had some good games, but he's only scored over 25 points and 6-point passing touchdowns twice this year. Okay, the first one was week 4 against the Vikings when they just decided to score everything in the fourth quarter, and that was it. And then against the Cardinals 2 weeks later, and then since week 6, he's not scored over 25 points. And in fact, he's had a single-digit game against the Jaguars, which he got hurt, so you can't hold that against him. But against the Lions, I know he was still a little bit hurt, but here's a stat line that he had: 39 attempts, 23 completions, 273 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception, finished with less than 11 points. I do not like this matchup for Jordan Love. I do not trust this. And I do remember last season when Jordan Love played against the Lions in prime time and he got demolished.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the first time we thought, I don't know about this Jordan Love guy. I'm not so sure. So I do not like it. I think it is a risky start for Jordan Love in your lineup to make playoffs.
Yeah, I agree. I think, there's probably, I'll say 3. I don't think CJ Stroud's a starting quarterback. With 3 possible starting quarterbacks on a bye, I get it if you need to. But yeah, I don't love it. It's not ideal, I don't think. So
I'd start Tua. I'd definitely start Tua over Jordan Love.
Same. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Don't start here. Sam Laporta. I hate that dude.
That's the reason. You just don't like him. Yeah, what a silly guy.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Don't start Sam Laporta.
Hate that dude.
see how this works. No, I don't hate him. Because I think this is just sophomore slump, as they call it.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you take a look right here at just available tight ends in just one league I have here, I don't know. Would you rather start Mike Gesicki against the Cowboys Monday night over Sam Laporta? These are just available tight ends.
He's got in one league I've got. He got 5 targets in that game, and I thought that was interesting because T. Higgins was in that game. Probably not, but I'd probably start Noah Gray.
I was just about to say no. That's the next one. Noah Gray.
If we're talking about tight ends or score touchdowns, and that's Laporta is the same thing. It's like, is he going to score a couple touchdowns? Noah Gray's getting more yards. I'd start Ja'Tavion Sanders if he's back.
3 touchdowns, isn't he?
I'd probably start Juwan Johnson with Taysom Hill being gone now. Juwan Johnson was getting some good targets. I'd start Will Dissly if he's available. Even after the goose egg and the 1 target. I mean, I'd get Sam Laporta out of your lineup, man.
Laporta's going to get like 3 touchdowns right now.
That's how it's going to go. Is that everyone's going to start him again because he scored 2 touchdowns and then he's going to score 2 points. So, I mean, whatever, dude.
Okay. I hope this one's right.
Dude. Me too. Every time I call him out and say you shouldn't start him or he's a dud, he then does great. So
he does great.
Read into that how you will. But that's going to do it. Let us know what you guys think, who you're picking up the waiver wire down in the comments. Make sure you're following us on our socials as we're always getting stuff out for you. And make sure if you want a chance to win a signed James Cook jersey, you are joined up into our Patreon, patreon.com/4thandtrollfantasy. And get to join our Discord community as well. So that's always a fun time. Follow us on our socials. I think I already said that. And we will see you guys on Friday for a primer for the final week of the fantasy football regular season. It's going to be a blast. My name is Noah Selby.
And I'm Wes Selby.
Excuse me. And this has been Fourth and Troll Fantasy.